So what we're gonna do during this panel is I'm gonna invite a bunch of my event organizer friends from all over Europe. And we're gonna talk about what we do here, I suppose. Let's start with Patch, the chair of Everfree Encore. And we have James, the chair of Chequestria. Take a chair.
Thank you.
And we have Steam Loco, the former chair of PonyCon Holland.
Good morning, everybody.
We have Deus, the chair of Galacon. And last, but certainly not least, Colorus from Eponafest. So, good morning, everyone. I didn't prepare this one really well because, well, things were busy, as you know, before the conference. So how many coffees did you chuck down this morning in order to be somewhat alive here?
I'm on my third.
All of them. All the coffee.
Just two, actually.
Yeah, I also had just two. None of them cappuccino. I have to be careful.
Yes.
I have had
really
none,
careful.
and I
It's
really
like
regret that decision.
It's like
Would you have coffee in a can?
Really, really careful.
I haven't had any coffee, but I'm trying to make up for it ASAP with some energy drinks. With some Galacon juice.
So, you're all involved with events, and someone was involved.
I'm still involved with the Dutch events, so.
Yeah, exactly. Shall we talk about what is one of the most memorable moments for each of you in organizing events?
Good question. Memorable moment. Galacon is one memorable moment, but also a blur. When it goes by, there's like so much happening. Is there a highlight?
Yeah,
Like everything is a highlight. Like the whole thing is memorable. I don't have anything that stands out like this. Maybe not. I mean, when other things happen and police or anything get involved, that is memorable, but I don't think that belongs here right now. Or maybe we shouldn't start with that.
Yeah, most of the moments that are memorable that I can think of are moments that made me angry. It's like, it's memorable. I mean,
Or you can specify the category, you know, the sad category, the angry category, the funny category, the heartwarming category.
let's start with the happy category. We'll go into like the more negative feelings in a bit.
Okay.
all right.
Okay, absolutely.
Starting the therapy session off right away.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the very fun moments was at the very first Chequestria 10 years ago, when we were about to start our first opening ceremony, and we started. I introduced the guests, and I think Perry was there, Anneli Heath was there, Ailey Monty was there, and when I finished introducing the guests, Anneli Heath just took the microphone and said, and we would also like to introduce you. You know, we have these badges with your face. And that was like in 10 minutes of the first opening ceremony, I already had to facepalm on the open stage in front of all people. So yeah, I still do remember that until today. It kind of defined some events later.
I mean, I can tell everyone here how we started PCH. So basically, and some of you might already know this, what happened is there was a Dutch convention called Heartwarming Con. And they already announced that they would have their last con in 2020. They announced that in 2019. And we, Leah and I and a couple of other people, already organized smaller events in the Netherlands. And we heard that, and we said to each other, well, it would be sad if we didn't have a pony convention in the Netherlands anymore. Yeah, but it seems like a lot of work. How hard can it be? Then, HeartwarmingCon 2020 happened in February. Maybe the year rings a bell, because a week later, the whole world went into lockdown. 2 weeks after that, I was at the notary to make the foundation happen for PonyCon. And we already aimed for a convention in 2021. I mean, a pandemic, wow, we have medicine now. It won't take that long, would it?
It's gonna be like 3 months.
3 months, 4 tops, you know. Nope. So we planned our first PonyCon for June 2021. That couldn't go through. Then we found another time slot. This time slot, actually, we stumbled on this time slot by accident because it was the other option the Fiji had available in October 2021.
Yeah, it was September, the first one.
Was September?
Yeah,
oh,
I
right.
think so.
Oh, yes, you're right. Well, almost this time slot then. But during the summer, there was still a lockdown. And, well, can we go through with it? We did all the preparations, obviously. So everyone had to be tested, and you still remember all the vaccines shit and everything like that. It was a whole hassle, but there was a time slot of like 2 weeks before the next lockdown happened, but we didn't know that in advance.
Was not similar.
And we actually picked the right slot to do our first convention.
Yep.
Apart from all the stress that doing this for the first time, going in with basically knowing nothing at all of everything that is involved in it, the corona didn't help. But we managed to pull it off, and here we are.
I completely forgot that this lockdown thing was a thing during the first PonyCon.
Yeah.
I forgot completely that that was during the lockdown, the big C, the big
Yeah.
evil C.
It seems like it's already so long ago, but 3 years ago we were still like, can I even go out at night?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember standing on like the line of my garden and being like hopping back and forth over that line, like now I'm fine, now I'm doing illegal stuff.
I had to carry a permission with me to go to work at night.
Bad times.
Crazy times. But let's talk about the fun times.
In that regard, my most vivid memory about PonyCon Holland is having to make the call to postpone the first one.
Yeah, that was a thing. But we had to.
Yeah.
There weren't any options.
Do you have any fun stories, memorable moments that Epona has?
The most, let's just say, fucked up thing happened at the Pona Festa. It's like our venue last year at like 5:30, I guess. No, I don't really remember the exact time. 5:30, just come to us. I think they come to our presenter and said, "Guys, do you remember that you have the main stage until midnight?" Yes. Now you don't. And they literally tried to take us the entire con because they said, now we need the stage for a business meeting, for doing our bank stuff and all the business thingies. And I remember that everyone freaked out in the staff because the presenter told another one, another one told another one, another one. And they tell to me, I started, fuck, I need to go to the vendor hall and say to the others. And our friend, that is a bit of a legal guy itself, just came to the venue and said, guys, I'm going to sue the shit out of you if you do this. And we were scared as fuck because it's not news that our hotel ate us. It's Bronies. Our hotel hated us. It's not a news. they didn't want we there. They didn't want all of you there. They hated all of you. Our venue hated us, and we are proud of that.
Own it.
Because they need bronies in their life. And this is the story of how we basically been kicked out for 5 seconds at our venue.
Wow.
And yeah, this is one of the most worst stories because I didn't know how I didn't have an after attack there. I didn't really know, honestly.
I mean, it does help to have a venue that actually wants to have you there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a key. It's kind of a key thing, if you know. And the organizer. No, sorry. The president of the hotel. The day after, he was happy that we were there, but he, honestly, in his face only speak, "Please go away. I don't ever want to see you again. Please." And this is why we changed the locations. Yeah. Yeah, basically, this is the story behind it all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Painful.
Yeah. Milan is an experience.
So since we're now in like bad things happening at conventions, what did happen? What were the bad moments for Chiquestria, James?
You mean those we speak about or those we don't speak about?
Those we don't speak about, of course.
Well, the recent very bad moment. Yeah. Do I really need to mention it? Everybody knew.
I think everyone knows.
Yeah. So that was the opening ceremony at the last Chiquestria. Yeah, that was turned into something totally else than it was. Like the idea or the events were brought up by the internet and the Twitter, and these kind of guys wanted to make it more probably spicy. So
they were trying to be funny,
improve.
but at a really bad way.
Yeah, but it was all mostly like misunderstanding. Like, okay, I'm talking about it now, so it's probably better to say what it was about.
Yeah.
At the opening ceremony, we had G5 guests this year. One was Imalu, and the second one was Bahia Watson, the voice actor of Misty. And during the opening ceremony, when I was on the stage wanted to introduce the guests, and I started to that block with like, we had 10 years ago when Chiquestria started, we had a G4, now we have a G5. And 2 people actually decided to express they're not that happy with G5. So they like booed at the G5 mention. It was a little bit awkward, but we just overcame it in a few seconds. Like, I asked again, people were cheering, everything was fine.
Yeah, you managed that situation pretty well.
Yeah, even if it was really shocking in that moment, it was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so much trouble later.
Yeah. They didn't actually know that there were guests from G5, but still, it was...
That was another thing. I talked to the guys after that, and they said, oh, we had no idea there are G5 guests. Otherwise, we would definitely not do that. But, it happened. I think we resolved it with the guests in 10, 15 minutes. And then it was like, it's okay. Nothing really happened for the rest of the event. And then 1 month after that, the end of G5 was announced. And there was a new wave on the Twitter, thinking and posting what actually happened with the G5. And there was the tweet that says, and we also seen booing at the convention when G5 was mentioned. At one point, this discussion turned, we saw at the conventions that there was booing at the G5 guests. And suddenly the huge wave of solidarity appeared, which I totally understand why. But it was based on the false assumption. It never happened. But people were expressing themselves so emotionally, so supportive. It was really nice, just the fact it was not based on something that actually happened. There are even animations with Misty being oppressed by audience. Yeah, like based on this, there are funny animations.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That is harsh.
Yeah, so even though all the direct actors expressed explicitly on the Twitter, they say, hey, it was not booing at us, it was when G5 was mentioned. There is a recording of that open ceremony, so everybody can watch it and see what actually happened.
That would be too easy.
Yeah,
That would
but
be
it
effort.
still does not stop the people
It's easier to
thinking
make.
that the events were like they have in their heads.
The thing is, it's 2024 and facts aren't that interesting anymore.
Yeah,
It's called alternative
exactly.
facts.
So yeah, that's basically it.
And at GalaCon,
Tell us.
Was this one circumstance, was it 2017, 2018? I think 2018, where a hotel messed up a booking. Like, you have to know, when we book the hotels for our guests, we don't call the hotel like normal people or booking. We hand them a sheet of paper with all of the people on it and give it to them, and then they handle all of that themselves, like a contingent to German. And we wrote for one guest who had a +1 that it is really important to have a separate bed, which in a business hotel like GalaCon old location Nestor is a 4-star business hotel. Should be no problem. They failed to mention that in their business class rooms, the beds are not to be separated, which when I want to go on a business trip with my boss, I of course want to sleep in the same bed with him. That makes sense. So
Get some extra credit.
everything, all of this was when we do GalaCon, we prepare for it. Usually we have people who fetch the VIPs, the others do other things, and then we meet on Friday for a dinner, this mythical guest dinner. Shit hit the fan, everything bad came together. We were there. I ordered food. We all ordered food. Mine was forgotten. Everyone ate, and I'm at after 1.5 hours, I was asking what is with mine? Oh, you also ordered. I got mine later, and in that moment, Sai, who was handling the hotels back then, got a message that one guest wants to check out into a 5-star hotel on our cost because we messed up their room. So Olli was taking one bite, and then he took off, because back then I wasn't chairman, but I was already very intimidating. So I was the one who delivered bad news to people. And then I beamed myself to that hotel and then encountered at the reception, the person for the night shift, who is usually just a student, so I didn't yell at her or anything. She was very distressed that there were problems. That's I had my Karen moment. It's tomorrow in the morning, the first thing that you will tell your manager is to call me. And then we talk about this. We're able to convince the community guest, the guest of honor in question, to stay for the one night and give me the chance to resolve it, because it was after 9 or after 10 even, nothing will happen on that day. And then I had the honor to meet the manager of Nestor, and then I detonated a bit, asking him if what this business hotel is, and he's yeah, you should know that we can't separate the beds. I was I don't have to know shit. It's your job. If I book something that is not existing to inform me that it's not existing, then we would have booked 2 single bedrooms. I told him in his face that we will have 2 single bedrooms for the price of that 1 double bedroom. And if I see on the invoice that he didn't do that, then they will hear from me again. The year after it, we didn't have the Nestor Hotel because they were miraculously booked out. Was it connected to me? I don't know. But that was one of those things that's like everything bad came together. It's like didn't eat, like always on edge. And then things like this happen. And it's like I just don't want anymore. I just want to go to bed. It's like a trivial thing, but that's like it stuck with me.
And an ever-free encore.
We're talking like negative stories now.
Yeah.
Right.
The more juicy ones.
I mean, is there something really funny that happened at any point that was like negative funny?
Remember the guy that we throw out for the googly eyes?
Oh no, do we want to talk about that?
I think so. Just don't be like too explicit, but I think it's a fun story.
Is it okay to talk about here? Okay. I don't know. This is like a really fancy convention, so.
Yeah, just don't mention like the stuff too explicitly, but go for it.
All right. Well, we had a couple of more intensely opinionated people in 2023. There were actually several, but the first one that came to our attention was a guy who was leaving around carts with like Mussolini and other characters of that like area, and putting googly eyes on them to like make it, I guess, more like light and like, oh, it's funny, we're like just kidding. And we were just like, we managed to track him down and kind of go after him a little bit. And we confronted him about it. And we asked him to like show us that he doesn't have a bag of Mussolini and other such characters cards in his stuff, and he was willing to like, oh, look, just check my bags, you know. I like, opened up all of his bags until one pocket where he was like, no, I don't want to open up that pocket, I showed you all my bags already.
We also found a big pack of googly eyes, like 10,000 or something, one of the other bags.
In one of the other bags we found a big bag of googly eyes, and he was just like, yeah, everyone carries googly eyes on them.
I still think we should order googly eyes for the start. Like, where are your googly eyes?
It's like googly eyes are an internal reference at this point because of that. Because it's like, yeah, everybody has googly eyes on them at all times. Right after that confrontation with his bags, we found at one of the toilets in the venue, right like behind where like the pipe behind the toilet is, a shoved bag full of like Mussolini cards. Oh. Very mysterious. And then right after that he was like, okay, so this is the last pocket of my bag. As you can see, it's empty. So that guy was kind of removed from the event.
Can I add something to it?
Yeah, go ahead.
When I was removing him, he had the courage to ask me for a refund. And that was the first time when I had to take a pause, when I was like, what? No.
Obviously not.
Fun.
Yeah.
Bag full of Mussolinis. It's like...
You know that I blame you for that.
Yeah. Guy was Italian, by the way, of course. So.
Nah, that's not. No, he was from another country. It was like.
But he was staying in Italy or something.
He was American?
He was American, stationed in the he was US, and he was stationed in Italy. And half a year later, it came to my attention that he was sent back home because of inappropriate jokes. I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
What a mystery.
The most American Italian thing I ever heard in my life, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, mother.
I think one of the brightest talents we had here was a volunteer in the first or second edition, I believe. He had been in the Dutch community for a bit, and often came on with like his personal projects, which most of the time were copying code, changing it a little bit, and then trying to make money of it. When Ponytown was still open source, he made a clone of Ponytown and called it Derpystown. And during the event, he was a volunteer for us. He had the bright idea to go up to our technician, the streaming technician over there, and asked him to change the endpoint of the stream to like his own thing, try to get moderation rights on Ponytown, using his volunteer shirt to be like, yeah, I'm staff.
Yeah, that was a thing.
So yeah, right after that, he was stripped of his rank as volunteer. But there was a bit of a miscommunication with the security guys who thought he had been like banned from the event and needed to be taken off the premises.
He was picked up by mommy. But yeah, in hindsight, it was bannable, but
Yeah. And from that edition as well, like one of the most stressful moments for me was like we had rendered some tech stuff like the B stage for during the music night, and there was a miscommunication in who was supposed to pick that up. So it was like an hour before the renting location closed, and it was going to be closed for the entire weekend.
which is logical. If you rent out music stuff, who needs it in a weekend? So you're closed.
So yeah, I grabbed a volunteer with a car. It's like you're taking me to Amsterdam right now. We picked up a trailer along the way, and he got a couple of speed tickets from that ride. We managed to arrive at their location like right at 5. We called ahead, like, can you please wait a little longer for us? We're trying, we're making our way there, and of course we got a traffic jam on the way.
Of course.
Yeah, some profanities left my mouth at that moment.
It's not called profanities at this point. It's called necessary.
It's just
Necessary.
using your freedom of expression.
Yes. Yeah, renting of equipment is always a source of good stories of this kind. Like especially when you have the projector board rented up to the very end of the event, and then suddenly your charity auction gets longer. And the guy who wanted this the board back is already stepping in the hall and saying, "Yeah, I need it back now. But we're still running the program. But I want it. I need it now. You rented it up to 6, and it's already 6:15. Okay, so what are we gonna do?
Kill him.
Okay, let's take it. Let's take it down. Oh, okay." So while the charity auction was still running, we just went on the stage and folded the projector board where everything was projected, and we were like, okay, let's turn this down, fold it, and Perry was still doing the auction. Say, oh, okay, this is so embarrassing. Dismantling the con even before it ended.
And start, they say.
Yeah, one of the ground rules of doing things like this is you can plan and plan and plan, but things will happen and things will not be on time. It's just a given.
Yeah, and
Doesn't matter how much you plan it.
I mean, I think it's basically like a physics rule at this point that the opening ceremony starts late.
Also, usually the question is not if the things go wrong, but when. So you're waiting when you start with a convention, you're still waiting for that moment when something goes terribly wrong. And until that point, you are nervous, like, when the point comes. Now it's fucked up. Okay, now I can be calm. So.
I mean, the timetable is also just a playful suggestion.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Just like the rough zip code of what will happen.
Things will happen. The trick is to hide it from you guys.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. As long as you do not notice that these things are happening behind the curtain, it's fine.
Yes.
That's our job, to hide this and say, okay, this went wrong, but we actually intended to do it this way, right?
Surprise! It was
You've seen
intended.
the play.
There's also the reason when you see
Those were just improv
organizers
skills.
interact with each other at other cons, that they always like ask each other like, how is it going? And there's always a smile. It's like, everything is nice. That's the secret code for everything is on fire.
I remember one GalaCon when I walked up to you or Sai. I was like, how are things going? And you were like, they're going too well. Something is going to go wrong very soon, probably.
Yeah, sounds like us.
I remember like last year GalaCons, I have seen before the venue opens, you were like smoking outside, I think.
Sounds like me.
And I have come to you and said, hey, how are you doing? You just stare into the void. Like this.
There was this one instance where, like, the old venue, we had like a little balcony at the con office, and Skyfang, who is also a staff member and a board member, and I were standing outside, and I started laughing uncontrollably, just laughing. Just like looking at me, just like, why are you laughing? It's like, I think I have a breakdown right now. Just like, continue to laugh for 5 minutes. I don't know why. To this day, I didn't figure it out. Something was very funny, it seems.
It sounds a bit like our last rehearsal on Friday evening.
Oh, yes. That was such a mess.
We had a very long day already, and we were like, the lines aren't that great. Like, yeah, let's get in one more rehearsal. And we were all too tired to function, basically, so we were just sitting on the floor here, throwing out our lines. At some point, it was just like a line, and then we giggled for 5 minutes, and then the next line.
We basically went into full improv at that point, and we nearly killed Flitter Chris. Because she lolled out too hard.
Yeah, she was just laying on the floor, dying of giggle.
I wonder.
At some point, it's the best way how to, release the tension that's building inside of you for not just the weekend, but also for months. Because at least to me, the biggest difference between being an attendee and the organizer of the event is when I go as an attendee, it's a weekend for me. That's like, okay, it starts, it's the peak, it's the hype, and after 2 or 3 days, it's gone. But when you're an organizer, it's actually not 2 days event, but several months long event.
The ride never ends.
When you have it constantly in your mind and you're solving the problems, you're trying to do this, that, and that, keep your team together. When something goes wrong, and if people cannot fix it themselves, you have to intervene, let's say. And it's like several months long event for you, and the convention itself is like the cherry on top of the cake. Yes. It's just last 2 days, and sometimes when the convention actually begins, you're like, okay, it was months. Let's get over this. I hope it's gonna be like over soon. And then come hundreds of people. Oh, it's finally beginning. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing your enthusiasm.
Or like it's finally ending.
Yeah, I've seen it like I need to take holidays not from work but from organizing. This is my holiday from organizing PonyFest, honestly.
It's like, yeah, last 2 weeks for me, and we're like, oh, why am I doing this? It's like,
I feel that one.
Me every week.
the days were like, you get 8 hours of the day job because, yeah, you also need money.
Yeah.
And then you come home and it's 6 more hours of convention work, if not more. And then at some point there is supposed to be a sleep thing as well.
Never heard of it.
What's that? Can you explain?
Actually, I don't think I made much more than 5 hours a night the past week.
Well, the thing is, we always tell the attendees the 6-to-1 rule.
It doesn't apply to us.
No. But don't share that.
It's a secret. Yeah, and I had the idea to make an app for this edition as well, and I procrastinated too much, which meant...
Which is so unlike you.
Yeah, it never happens. And the last month I've been, especially the last 2 weeks, I've been working on that continuously.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing that's also interesting, at least it's like that for me, that we're preparing it for a really long time, but the closer the convention is, the tension in the head is increasing. At one point, even if you sleep like 8 or 9 hours a day, you cannot actually rest. Because there are still so many things going in your mind, like, is this going to work? I need to do this thing is going to be different, and dozens of things like that, so you cannot actually rest. So, and this also does not end with the convention end. Not that there is also a work after convention doing, but your head is spinning on like the high pace, and it needs to slow down, and it's slowing down like 1 or 2 weeks minimum, when you're still experiencing the same things as before the convention. So.
That's why we always like try to have an autopsy of the convention like as soon as possible after the con, because we still remember everything that went well and wrong, and we're like, we need to talk about everything and do a summary before we actually forget everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very, very funny always. It's like everyone is extremely tired Sunday evening. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a meeting. Like we used to have meetings on Monday. You go into a GalaCon meeting the day after GalaCon. Just to talk about everything that we hate. And usually, like, we operating in a way, we very rarely address the things that went well, because Germans don't talk about things that work, we talk about things that don't work.
And they went well, what's the need to address them?
Yeah.
It's fine. Let's move on.
For Everfree Anchor, we have a bit of a grace period, because those meetings usually are on Thursday. But Everfree Anchors are much more demanding physically than GalaCon, funnily enough.
Yeah, with Everfree Encore and sleep, it's like a funny thing because it's not really a thing. we all, the Everfree Encore team, most of the 99% of the people also do GalaCon, and it's funny because Everfree Encore is the fun one, but it's also the one where you have to be on the ground until 4 a.m. because the music stops at 2 or 3, and you need to make sure that everyone kind of cleans up and everything is good. And it's 3 days too. And we decided that we need an after party to make the encore really encore-y, so because we just feel like we've had too much sleep the last few years on Sundays.
We had too much time. True.
We're kind of expanding almost. Maybe we should reconsider that. But yeah, it's we're basically, yeah, we're all and we're then and we go to sleep at 4. And then we get up at 7. The whole time we're just running completely on adrenaline and energy drinks. Last year we bought a box of energy drink or Red Bulls. This is where you get 24 of them or something. I myself finished one of those boxes on Saturday. Woohoo! If you saw me hopping around, I was just completely
overdosing on energy drink.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I felt good. I felt energized, but
You were available.
Yeah, I was available.
Everfree Encore is also you have the event in a barn. So you got to do everything yourself. With the Galacon of PonyCon Holland, don't know how your venue deals are, but we have the people from the venue doing a whole lot of stuff for us.
Yep.
Lucky ones.
You don't have that?
We don't have any people from the venue. We have to do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
The good thing is for Everfriendco in particular, shout out to the tech people who maybe listen to the stream. For them, Everfriendco is like all of the snow days at once. We give them a budget that is usually also like considerably high for that event or for the size of the event, and then they can just go wild. Every year the stage is just more ridiculous. I just wait until we get a letter from the police, like stop like blinding the planes, the airplanes that fly over the floor. It's like completely. We get like mock-ups of the stage with the lighting concepts and everything. It's like, it's Everfriendco. I mean, I love Everfriendco. It's just, it's not Coachella, you know?
I felt so bad. I mean, the tech people are working really making the thing happen entirely. And I felt really bad because we were getting these concepts for the stage, and I was like in calls after the meetings with Deus, and I was just like, I feel they are working so much. I don't even like how do I even? I'm so sorry for them. And he's like, no, they are really like
they like to do it.
Going wild here because we give them a budget and they can like do all kinds of stuff on the stage, and it's like actually pretty cool for them. And yeah, I mean, they made like really cool things happen. So obviously, but I still like I always feel really bad because for the non-tech staff, it's like, yeah, we get there Wednesday, but like really it starts on like Friday, but not the tech people. Like they get there and they immediately have to start pulling cables and plugging things and setting up things and building the stage. I mean, the stage is partially built by the provider.
Sometimes you also have to rebuild the whole farm.
Sometimes we have to, I mean, sometimes the farm is, we always get there and it's like, we don't know what state the place will be in. Maybe there will be a big pile of horse shit in the back and we have to like paint like colorful line around it to warn the people to not like, fall into it.
There was this occurrence where like there was a bit of an issue with the owner of the farm. She was like very hard to reach. Like I couldn't get in contact with her, and it was basically just like, yeah, we go there. I mean, it is booked. We didn't hear from her for like a quarter of a year.
Is this event even happening still in their heads?
Patch was like sleeping at my place, and I lived 2 hours away from Uslar, because basically in the middle of Germany. And we started, and the tech stuff already was there, and my phone rang. And I just hear someone on the other end like weeping and crying that everything is too late and we have to go there quickly because everything is on fire. That was a Wednesday, by the way. The whole barn was full with like junk. The whole barn. I am not overestimating. Like I'm not like it's really just chairs, tables, wood, everything. It was, I think, 30 people for 2.5 days were just cleaning up the place so that we can leave people in on Friday. That was when it comes to event organizing, I think that was the lowest point that we ever stopped. When you stand in front of a pile of shit, it's like, why?
Yeah, like a lot of EE is always kind of like, yeah, it's fine, we'll get there, we don't know what state the place will be in. I mean, it's gonna be fine, but like when it's really bad, you have to do something. And then you realize that, yeah, I could really use having like 50 people on hand right now to do this with.
Yeah, it's also one of the classics, like when you call the venue after a year or later and ask them, hey, we would like to rent you again. Is everything the same as the last year? Yes, definitely, everything is the same.
Oh, yeah.
And we learned this lesson hard, like I always want to go there in person and to see for myself. Because it happened to us once when we just arrived there. Okay, we would like to check on some details. And we arrived there like 2 weeks before the event. And we were like, oh, yeah, we put this here, this there, and oh, this room is full. It's equipped like an office. And we were asked, oh, will this be available? Of course not these all. like 4 rooms are not available. You said it's gonna be the same as the last year.
Yeah, I lied.
Oh, did we? Yeah, then you have to improvise.
Yeah, we always do like an on-site meeting several times a year. Galacon does it several times a year. Everfree does it 1 time a year, and it's like really important because yeah, they tell us that the place will be in a certain state, but come on, we know better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Improvisation is a large part of organizing things.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm so happy with this venue. Like the account manager that handles our event, she replies to my emails usually within a day, and of course there's stuff that goes wrong during an event on their side as well. But usually it's fixed pretty quickly, and they're all just working very hard to make this event as awesome as it can be. It's been very nice working together with them.
With the
why we're still
hotel.
here.
With who? With the hotel?
With Fiji, the
Yeah,
place.
okay, yeah. We had a similar like experience with the Galacon place, the new Galacon place.
I mean, Bütze?
Yeah, like we didn't realize until we got to the new area that being bros with the venue staff is a thing that can happen. Like they are, one of them is literally on our Discord server and he's just a shit poster.
Shoutouts to Schnupsi.
Yeah, like he's the main hall like guy.
He's a tech, I'm not
Like
sure.
he's actually like kind of important in the whole,
Hallenmeister in German.
the hall master.
The whole word.
Like the main hall, and he's like, but he's just like us. I honestly, the first year that we were there, I thought he was just like a volunteer or something because he was just such a bro. And then at the end, I find out that he's from the venue. They wanted shirts from us with ponies because they wanted to fit in better. Like that's so cute.
Nice.
And also, we bully each other all the time. It's also funny.
Yeah.
He always laughs at me when he bypassed by us. Like, yeah, I deserve that.
He carries all the venue.
Yeah.
Also, when people of the
Yeah,
venue
half an hour.
changes, it also leads to some funny moments. Like during the Corona, they fired some people from the venue where the Czechoslovakia takes place, and they were replaced by some other guys. And when we started with the Czechoslovakia 2022, just came there, look around, and say, yeah, this technical thing, is it still working or not? And is that thing still there? And the new technical guy just looked at us. Oh, you actually know the venue better than I do. Okay.
Are there questions in the audience?
Anyone who wants to start their own convention, maybe?
Okay, we have some mics set up on the side.
A mic.
A mic on that side.
As fun and also kind of heartbreaking to hear all of your Schadenfreude stories, I would like to ask, is there something that you wish you knew a couple of years ago, or something that you could tell to your younger self before you started organizing these events?
Don't do it. I like how we all think the same. I guess.
How hard can it be?
I guess to answer the question like respectfully, how much energy it takes to like hold a whole team of different characters and different backgrounds together to all do everything voluntarily. Like an energy that goes into the chairman's job in the end, or at the end of the day, at least in the setups that are here, are to like lead a team. And when you have like issues in a team, then it becomes very like that. It kind of becomes clear who is a good leader and who isn't, and who holds himself up to a standard. But yeah, I would wish to have that knowledge a few years ago.
It's a bit like herding cats, Anna said. Yeah.
Yeah, can be chaotic.
And one important thing is to think that as we said before, everything will go wrong. And the most important thing is not to panic out as a con organizer, because if you panic out and you freak out about everything, like the day of like 10 minutes before the opening ceremony, like you are just going to have an heart attack, honestly. I mean, if I knew it before, I would have, I don't know, therapy before for managing my inner demons.
It could
Yeah, we have it scheduled weekly now on Discord.
I think with recurring this panel, we can significantly improve the quality of the organization of all these conventions, because we finally have a chance to speak about what's happening, like publicly.
Oh my God.
Like that, for instance.
Sorry.
Happens.
I mean, the question with like, what would you tell your younger self is pretty funny with me, because I viewed con organizing as like God work. I basically was, like, I was very much a kid when GalaCon and Czechoslovakia even started. And my whole thing was like, yeah, I will save up every single crown from now on that I get in like pocket money. And in 2018, I can go to GalaCon. And maybe I'm even big enough to volunteer there. And the funny thing is that when I first started dealing with, like, this was the manager of the art team when I joined. And I was just naive, I guess. I mean, I was already not a kid technically, but what I knew about con organizing was like, yeah, there's this one animation of like Kenny hanging out in a boardroom with other ponies, and they're talking about GalaCon, and I thought that's how GalaCon meetings go.
Yes, we are all horses.
And then I get like in contact with him, and he's like, yeah, we're having problems with like a staff member again. I'm like, problems? You're not all besties?
You want to be my bestie?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I would tell to younger myself regarding the organizing the convention is, don't worry that much that you don't, at some point, don't worry that much that you don't have a complete control of the events.
Yes.
Because at some point, when you start the event, it's like you throw the snowball down the hill. And you cannot stop it. You cannot even change the main course. It's just going on itself. So, like, yeah, you started it. You can make some small corrections, but you actually don't have a full control of it. You can't.
And you shouldn't have. That's one of the things that I had to learn. Don't micromanage everything.
Yes.
Have trust in your teams.
Exactly.
They know what they're doing, especially with tech, but all other teams as well.
Yes.
They know it far better than you, far better than me usually. Does it answer your question?
It does, and apologies for asking it.
Thank you.
Hey guys, so first of all, of course, thank you for all your hard work doing all the events. You're keeping the fandom alive. So
You're welcome, I guess.
So it's kind of a meta question regarding organization. Is there anything that we as attendees can do in a direct or indirect way to support you, help you, make the experience a
Buy
bit
your
more?
tickets earlier.
I was about
Yeah.
to say that as an example, like obviously, like buy your tickets early, financial security, whatnot. Is there anything that we can do?
The most important, enjoy yourself at the event. That is very important, because we do all of this because we want to give the attendees a good time. We don't do that for ourselves. And the ticket thing, kind of a meme, but yeah. We are in contact, and like we chat with each other, and it's always the same. It's like, yeah, how it is going. It's like, yeah, the ticket sales are slow. It's like, yeah.
Please give us
And
money,
the,
please.
2
and the
weeks before the
second
event.
thing is feedback. Most conventions send feedback forms around at the end of the convention. We will also eventually do it, I heard.
The GalaCon 2020 feedback form is in the works.
Give feedback if you like saw something, disliked something. It's very important to let us know, because the people who sit here, even though they do organize the convention, they are very much removed from the experience that the attendance has. Like, we always are heavily reliant on word of mouth. I know many people, and the people who are closer to me approach me and tell me things, but I don't know everyone, and everyone has a different viewpoint, and it would be nice to craft a good experience out of an amalgamation of those like feedbacks.
There are times, and like I understand that this is overall a cultural thing, so it's not just an event thing, but at Everfree Encore, where after the event someone came up and they were like, yeah, so something happened during the event and I felt uncomfortable or violated in some way. And it's like, we wish that you would have told us during the event, because we would have immediately stepped in and removed the people who have made you uncomfortable or who have caused some kind of issues. But like, it's overall, people don't tend to like tell things when they are happening. But it's always a good idea to like just speak with the staff. It's like the staff are trying to be actually available and not just be like silent statues. So, you know, when you have some kind of a concern during the event, especially if it's something like important like that, definitely don't be like shy and come up to us after the event. Like, we need to start resolving issues while they are happening still, because that can prevent things from getting even worse.
The most important thing is honestly direct feedback, in the moment that those happens, because as Patch said now, if we manage even to have direct feedback, even if something is unfixable in that day because we fucked up, because shit happens, the most important thing is to have that feedback and not to be shy and not to tell it like under the hood that some voices sometimes reaches our ears. The most important thing is just to tell us, just insult us. If it's necessary, insult us.
But when we're talking about feedback forms, definitely also put in the compliments. Those are very
don't
nice
forget the
to
compliments.
We don't deserve compliments.
Don't forget the compliments, because if we all read negativity, probably one of, at least me, going to kill myself. Yes.
I mean, maybe that's a German thing, but when we see the compliments, we just skip them, like, get to the point. What was the problem?
I hope this letter finds you a get to the point.
I usually read first the bad stuff and the good stuff after, so I cannot cry.
You have to get a warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah, basically what's been said, feedback is very important because we are kind of disconnected from the experience of attendees. Also, what I'm usually saying is that if you go and say thank you to any of the people who are organizing the con or to the volunteers, it makes a huge difference. Like for me, when somebody wrote me an email, like, hey, I was at the Czechoslovakia for the very first time and I really enjoy it, I hope you're gonna do it next time. That made a huge difference in my motivation to do it again. Because maybe the general idea is that we are receiving these emails like every day. Like, no.
Usually the
so
mailbox is
one
pretty
or
quiet.
two persons from the whole crowd can make the difference if the next event will actually happen and how. And it's important to say that aloud because, yeah, it's not happening that often, and the feedback is something we are often missing. Like, yeah, we would like to do some new program at the convention, but what would it be? What would like attendees to see? Like, maybe they saw it at other event and they would like to see it here too. Sure, let's not copy it like one-to-one, but let's get inspired and try to adjust it to the spirit of our convention. So yeah, feedback.
But especially enjoy the con.
Yeah.
If
If you want to actively contribute, then there is never enough volunteers for the convention, never. And if you want to join the organizing team, I think everybody appreciates the help. And it doesn't matter if you do not know the job, because it's not like when you ask, hey, I would like to help with, I don't know, technical stuff. and it's not like okay, you are hired and now you're responsible for all the technical things. That's not how it works.
Yes.
But if you come and say, hey, I'm interested in, let's say, audio visuals, say, yeah, we have a team, and they would definitely use a help. They will teach you how to do the things, and you can contribute on your level, and then you can also improve in that area. So
It's also pretty sexy in a CV.
yes,
Many staff members started out as volunteers,
yeah,
for instance.
Yes.
exactly.
We usually invite them to staff from earlier volunteering positions, being like, well, they did some solid work at the convention. Hey, would you like to be an organizer?
I
And
actually...
then they make the fatal mistake of saying yes.
Yes.
That's the most important, because technically I was, not even a volunteer at the first PonyFest, I was an external helper. Because I was the only one they knew that managed how a website works. And they said, you can please help us, please, 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 please. And I said, sure, what can possibly go wrong? Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Nothing could go wrong. Yeah, that's...
I would say on the contrary, the question I'm asking every single person in our team when we're starting with organizing new event is, do you want to do it? Yeah, that's the fundamental question. If anybody wants to do it, we'll make it happen. But if somebody don't want it, does not make any sense because it's a volunteer job.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, and I'll definitely consider at least being a volunteer at GalaCon. So thank you very much for everything.
Well, in the spirit of the last question, thank you for arranging these events for us. It's very appreciated. And
Thank you.
on to my question. Do you have any, when you look at other parts of the world, how they do the convention, mainly like US, any organizing things like they do that you go why are they doing like that? The biggest differences between other cons, maybe perhaps primarily the American ones.
In a way, you can borrow some ideas that you see at other conventions.
Yeah.
That's where we introduced the Friday Eve party this year. Because we see US cons do that a lot, and it's apparently popular over there. So we were like, we can try that as well.
Yeah, I stole some ideas from the games from a furry convention.
When you're at other events, you're definitely on a lookout. Like, how are they doing things? And was getting inspiration from what the others do.
But in general, it's also important to do your own thing.
Difficult for GalaCon because it's one of the unique kind of conventions that happen in a convention center, not in a hotel. And Never Free Encore is also unique in that sense because it happens in the fucking field.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
So it's a bit difficult. I don't want to say that we are so original that we don't have to look at the others how they do it, but with us it's more like first of all, the closer, the friends, the con friends, like Chicastria, PonyCon Holland, Epona Fest, that we are in contact with and maybe exchange ideas. But America they have a very different structure, how they organize things, which is absolutely not fitting culturally here. And from the program, I mean, we talk about panels, you get panel applications, program points. Most of the program that you have at a convention is usually brought externally in, like music nights, the musicians that you invite. You usually try to not invite everyone, the same person all over again, except Prince whatever. I will support that meme. Yeah, but I can't think of an. We want to try something that PonyCon Holland did this year at Never Free Encore next year. That would be a good example now. Yes.
It's hard to take inspiration from American conventions because everything works so different. Like he said, the process of getting a venue is entirely different there. the process of contacting guests is entirely different. So the best we can like take as inspiration last year as an example at GalaCon was like, I was like, yeah, I see American conventions do like language stickers. I want to do that. And that's like honestly the best kind of inspiration that we can take from American conventions because it's otherwise just so very different.
I remember an instance where I like talked with the head staff of PonyCon. I was pre-2019, like when they were still happening. And we needed a contact for a guest. And I talked with the chair, PonyCon. It's like, yeah, you have that one as a guest. Can you maybe like forward me a contact, like what we do like sometimes? Yeah, no, I don't know. I know that we have that guest, but I have no idea who is responsible for that. And I was like, you are the chairman. How are you not aware of it? Yeah, just some volunteer. That's like some volunteer. That was the time when I learned how many American cons structure their teams. They have like a head orga, like head staff. It's like usually the chairman. And the rest are like switching positions. You can actually apply to be a guest handler for American Con XYZ. And then they judge you on your like, you send an application and oh yeah, this guy worked for that and that and that con and did that, so he can do it for like.
Yeah, like in Europe, it tends to be like straight up a team of people that are mostly the same every year, and it's like, yeah, I'm like in general the vendor, like handler for this convention.
The thought of a rotating team scares me.
Yes.
Imagine that you have to always deal with new people I would like, oh no.
Don't think about that, please.
Don't make yourself cry.
But from what I saw from the American conventions is also that they operate the departments way more like little islands where they just do their own thing. And at some points they give a status update, but it's, and how we do it here is we have a core organizing team, and they all have like a bunch of different tasks. We sometimes rotate those around a bit to keep it new for people. And with that team, almost everything is discussed. So usually in the early stages, we have bi-weekly meetings. And as we get closer to the con from like August on, from the start of September, they become weekly. And we have like different teams. Those do like most of the work, and they all come together in the main meeting where decisions are made, status updates are given. So everyone in the core team kind of knows what is going on in every department.
It's like a sprint review.
Yeah,
basically. I see that there are quite a lot of people with questions, so maybe we should speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I have a little fun question for everyone. If I were a volunteer at every single con, which one would be the hardest for me as a volunteer? So like it's a little comparison of which con is the worst?
That's heavily depending on the position that you have as a volunteer, because you can be like a floor guard who has like 6 to 8 hour shift and then you are okay and nothing happens, so you just like wait around. Or you can be Everfree Anchor tech stuff and watch the world burn.
The worst position in the world must be Everfree Anchor driver, because you always have to be sober. The whole time. Shout out to Flynn.
Shout out to Flynn. Flynn. Yeah.
I think our volunteers usually have like 4-hour shifts. We also ask them which part of the program would like they see during the convention. So it does not work every time for everybody, because, for example, for the voice actors or the guests in general, everybody would like to see them. But we are trying to fulfill their wishes and to make the shifts shorter. Of course, it's always dependent on how many volunteers do you have, because you need to do these jobs. So more people apply as a volunteer, the easier it is for everybody. Of course, when you're part of the organizing team that prepares it before, yes, usually no breaks. Like as a chairman, I think I can take like 1 or 2 hour breaks a day.
Lucky.
Yeah, it's necessary to at least calm down.
How nice for you.
How do you manage that?
Well, my favorite panel here at PonyCon Holland is the cosplay contest, because that's my break.
Also to like kind of raise the question again, the idea is that when you apply as a volunteer, you also write in what your interests are. Yes. So the volunteer work becomes, in the best case, something that you like to do, not like going to work, for example. And so it's a really difficult question to answer. It depends on so many things. People yell Galacon is the worst for the volunteers because, I mean, blame. There is a person to blame for, and I'm looking at him. But yeah, no, I think it's very subjective.
Yeah, it's very subjective.
Yeah. Apply as a volunteer now.
Yes, please.
I have done from outside the con volunteering work and managing volunteers in Ponafest because I was so heavily when I do my volunteer shifts outside the Ponafest in cultural events. They did me 12-hour shift works and no possibility to even go to the bathroom. I was like hell on earth. And when this is the second year I manage volunteers, and when I see a volunteer, I always do like 4 or 5 hours shift at most. And the most important thing is I go to them and ask, please, are you alive?
Okay, we have 5 more minutes, so rush the...
Right.
I mean, every convention is trying to not be the worst one to volunteer for at the end of the day, so...
We try.
Thank you, and Hail Queen Pancake.
How dare you?
Please apply.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi. My question is, you started organizing time ago, and you're always telling, oh, it's so hard. When you start organizing, is it easy to stop maybe in the future when you start your first event, or is it not easy?
You think that we get a kick out of this? You have a bit of a responsibility towards the community when you are in the positions that we have, because I don't want to say none of us is replaceable. There very well probably are people who can do our jobs. The combination, the personalities in a team that just click to make things work, exchange one part of it, and it can very well fall apart. It's less a question of can you stop or do you want to stop. It's more, I view it as a responsibility because I am a servant of the community at the end of the day. And as long as Galacon runs and as long as people are happy with my work, then I will continue as long as I can, physically. Well, that was my answer.
I stopped as a chairman, so I can answer this.
So it's possible.
It is incredibly hard. It feels really weird to be at the con, not as staff, but the con you pulled out from the ground with your team, and then I had to make the decision to stop as staff because it was taking too much from me. But eventually it turned out with the play, with the games, with the auction, all other stuff that I'm still pretty much involved with. And still involved with the Dutch community. So really stopping, it is so addictive.
Yeah.
That is the problem with it. Even if your body says and your mind says, oh geez, come on.
That's what I had last week, and when I saw like all the happy people here, and when I'm walking through the hallways and people stop me to tell me what they thought about the play and that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, it's so fun.
Yeah, that's one of the things why we are doing it. We like to make you happy, we like to make you entertained, and it makes sense of doing that. So it's like, yeah, there is a purpose in what we are doing, and that's our reward. And yeah, as being said, it's very addictive.
It is.
Like making something that makes sense, not just to you, but to hundreds of people. So yeah, that feeling is what mainly what keep us running.
Yeah. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Bye, Jeff.
Okay, so my question is, I've been to a couple of new events recently. My name is Vol Duke, I write for Horse News. I've been to a couple of new events recently, Hopsfeatherfest in Vienna, and I wasn't at Camp Equestria in Bath, but I was going to go. Have you ever had any events that didn't pan out, or do you have any advice for new convention, for people organizing new conventions on how to, what to do, how to recover if it doesn't work out?
The association that hosts GalaCon and Everfree Encore kind of supports like upcoming events. Like when you want to plan something, you can always come to us. Like if you are interested in advice, I think that is like we were helping with PonyCon Holland a bit in the past. We were helping with the Fest when it came up. It's hard to give really solid advice because, first of all, every country handles things differently already from a law perspective and also a cultural perspective. I think the advice is not overdo it in the start. Like, aim low, play safe. It's okay to take risks, but the livelihood of many people are hinging on projects like this when you start for the first time.
Yeah, don't overestimate your own.
Yeah, it's better to start with the meetups than bigger meetups, and then it naturally evolves to a bigger event. Also, you find out this way if people are interested in coming. So that's also our case. We did big meetups, and there was like, yeah, we would like to have something more. So okay, let's make a convention. And we already had a lot of experience from these meetups, so the transition from meetups to conventions was not that hard. So yeah, gain the experience and take a smaller steps.
In that regard, some form of trust from the community is also important.
Yes.
Because when you're doing your first event, people don't know who you are. They will be throwing money at you. So if you're doing your first, they won't know whether they'll get anything for that money they're throwing at you. So especially for the first edition, for your first event, it's going to be, the attendance numbers are going to be low.
Yeah.
And over the past years, we've seen a few events fail because they hugely overestimated the amount of people that were going to come to their events. But you first got to show the community that you're capable of doing it. So it's a bit of a paradox there, actually.
It was a bit of a double for us because we already organized the local events with Bronies NL. We still do. But we also had a bit of a backlash from the last Heartswarming-Con, unfortunately, that not everything went as smoothly as it should have gone, maybe.
I believe up till last edition, people were still asking for their Heartswarming-Con merch at our info booth.
It's like going to a Toyota dealer with your Mercedes and complaining about the brakes. We're a different team, different con. People know that by now, but in the first year, it's just, they rebranded it. No, we didn't. It's completely different. It took us a while for people to understand that. But luckily, you guys gave us the trust to start this all.
Yeah.
I feel like in an up-and-coming convention, people, like the team is really passionate and full of ideas, but sometimes people can be also a little starry-eyed and not quite aware of everything that goes into it, and they can run into problems that they are not ready for. So I feel like it's important as an up-and-coming convention to be in close contact or even have on your team someone who has done like any convention. Like, I mean, it's probably a good idea to have it be in Europe because the scene is like similar. Like the conventions run a bit similarly to each other, like we said earlier, with the difference between the US cons and the European cons. But yeah, like if you don't have anyone in your contacts who has done this kind of thing a couple of times, you will run into problems that you wouldn't have thought about because it's such a specific thing to do and so many things that can happen.
And I'm talking for PonyFest. The important thing that we learned that we have meetups in Italy, and PonyFest actually started in 2019 before the COVID, and as the organizer group, and at that point we had the biggest meetups in Italy. And for instance, a big meetup in Italy is like 60 people. And because the Italian community is like also very divided and very small. And when the other group, because I wasn't in this call, decided to do a PonyFest, it was a different time and a different year, and with a lot of people in our meetups, and we said, fuck it, let's try it. And when the 2022 come around, we were scared as fuck because yes, we had organized meetups, small meetups, but still meetups, and some of the staff had real convention experience, like a business meeting experience, but it's not obviously comparable to any of this. And the first PonyFest, behind the scenes, at the convention, happened so many bad things that I couldn't sleep that night. I'm not kidding, guys. And the most important thing is to aim really low, because at the first PonyFest, we kind of tried to aim high. And yeah, we had the people, not so much people as we wanted, but we have people, thankfully. But we have overestimated basically everything in the venue, everything what we ever had. And it was a big mistake. And 2023, with the experience we already had, was much better, was more dimensional to the convention that we were. And this is, because we did a mistake, it's like the best example for telling this.
Yeah, to summarize it, be careful with comparing yourself to others.
Yes.
When you create a new event. When we started with Czechoslovakia, we did not want to make a smaller version of GalaCon. So think about uniqueness, what can you bring to attendees.
USPs. Yeah.
Yes, you are not another GalaCon, you are a small con.
You have angry chair standing in.
Our rightful ruler tells us to stop.
That's all, folks.
So give me a big round of applause for all these people.
Buy your tickets.
And now we fuck off.